In today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up access management. So in this case, here's our access management, and we've made it so that the only people that can see this are admins that we've said should be able to see this. And they see these two different security roles. And if they come in here, they can add as many people as they want. And everybody they add in here is going to get access to the app. And they're also going to get access to the underlying data, depending on how you define their access. I'm going to explain all of that as part of this video. I'm also going to explain when you might want to consider using a security group and what the difference between a security group versus a security role is. I'm not going to cover exactly how you would integrate this with a security group. That might be content I do in a future video. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in seeing, is how you would leverage a security group as part of these designs. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe if you like this kind of content and you find it helpful. It really does help the channel grow. And we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We've got a little over 200 until we're there. And we're not even getting monetized at this point for this channel. So it really does help pay the bills for this content if you subscribe. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that we need in order to build security permissions is an app to build security permissions for. And in this case, we're going to use this app. This is an app I put together for my home, and it's for tracking energy upgrades that I do for the home. So for example, I put in solar panels and I put in geothermal system. And this app is really just designed to show me the impact of the different upgrades over time. A great example, if we look at our gas, I put in towards the end of last year a pool heater that runs off of gas. Now, I didn't really use it last year, so I didn't see any kind of an increase. But the first month I did this year, we see there was a pretty significant increase in my gas usage compared to previous year usage. So I can kind of see exactly what happened when I turned on the gas for the pool heating. But at least for this particular month, I get this bill, and obviously I reduced my usage a little bit in the following months there. But it allows me to see those kinds of things. Another good example for this app is my energy bill. If we look at the last couple months here, I also have solar. Now, this is a couple months combined. It just took a little bit of time for the SRECs to start up. But if we look at this month, for example, we have $44 in SRECs. That's payments I receive for the solar versus $38. So I actually make a little bit of money. And if we look at the month over month, I'm making a little bit of money every single month because of the SRECs. It completely wipes out the entire cost of my solar. And I can actually reduce this even further by adding battery to the system. So it helps me determine those kinds of situations and what I want to do for upgrades in my house, or what the impact of those upgrades might be. Now, if we go look at the electricity details, we can see all the specific information from the electricity bill entered into here. I can also go and I can put the chart next to it if I wanted to, and I can kind of filter things down. This is essentially when I put the solar in, but I can do that for essentially all of the bills. Now, I didn't put the water bill in here, but I could do it for gas or electric. In this case, I put the SREC details in there as well, and I can see all that information. I didn't build this app as part of the channel. I figured this is more for home versus say office or business use. If this is something that you're interested in, let me know and I can kind of build this as part of the channel. Also, I'm going to show you exactly how to build this kind of a tool. But we're going to use this app to build our security and restrict access, so I can demonstrate how that works using this application. Let's go ahead and check out our solution. All right, so here is our solution, and we can see that we've got a handful of tables. I haven't done any of these steps necessary to share this app out. So we're going to do all of that as part of this. Now, the first thing we need to do is to create our security roles. Now, you could come up here to new and you can go to our security and you can create your security role right here. I don't recommend you do this. I actually recommend that you go to the admin center and do it from the admin center. So let's head over there. And to get there, all we have to do is go up to the settings here, and then we can go to the admin center. Here's the admin center for the Office Solutions Pro. Now, what we need to do is go into our security roles here, and we're going to copy our basic user. Now, why do we copy the basic user? If we go ahead and click on basic user, what we're going to see is that all of these tables are part of this when we copy it. So we don't have to change any of these things in here. And a great example is if we take a look at teams. So let's go ahead and find team, for example. And as we can see in team, the team table is already being shared, and team can be used to grant access. Same thing with security roles. So there's a whole bunch of different tables that are built into here that if you don't give access to those, the environment's not going to work for the user. So the basic user already has every single employee that has an active account already added to it by default. So this is a great one to clone when we're working with security roles. So let's go back to our security roles. And all we're going to do is copy the security role. And then we'll just come up with the name. We'll call it utility usage basic user admin. Now, I generally include the name of the baseline security role that was used. That way, anybody that looks at this in the future, maybe I sell this, or maybe I put it into a different environment, or if I'm at work and I'm moving it between environments, they understand that I use the basic user as a foundation. It's completely optional. You don't have to do it this way. Maybe your SOP for your environment and all the different organizational elements is to always use the basic user. But if they put the name in there, there's no question about it. Now, in this case, we're going to build our admin as a starting point. So we're going to just put this as an admin. Let's go ahead and copy this. All right, so there we've copied it. Let's go ahead and find it. So we'll find our utility. And let's go ahead and open this up. And now what we need to do is all the tables that we created for our solution, we need to go through and add those. So let's do only unassigned. And for this one, let's go ahead and find our electricity. And it's admin, so we're going to give them everything. So let's go ahead and give it at the organizational level for everything. Now, you could also just kind of fine tune this, but when you're talking about the tables that are part of the solution, usually a good practice is to give your admins full rights. Now, you might also have, say, a developer role, and maybe you want to differentiate between a developer and an admin. So for something like that, you wouldn't necessarily give at the full level to the admin for everything. Let's go ahead and find the rest of them. All right, so now I've gone and found all of them, and I've given them all the organizational level. Let's go ahead and save and close. Now let's go ahead and find that security role again. And we're going to copy this one. And for this one, we're going to call it utility usage basic user, and we'll say contributor. Now these are going to be the people that can add and basically control the data that's inside of it. They're not going to have any admin roles when we get into what an admin role could do. And in this one, we're not going to go too robust with it. It's just going to be the ability to add people to the team is essentially what we're going to do, or ability to access the app is effectively what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and clone this. Let's go ahead and open this up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to modify everything that we added. Now we can just look for our OSP, because every single one of these is going to have that, and it's going to be in here. So we can just modify this one area here. And let's go ahead and now what we could do is we could modify, let's say that the contributor doesn't need to be able to add payees. So maybe they can't create, we'll say none here. They have the ability to read, they have the ability to write, maybe they can't delete. We want our admins to be in control of the payee option. This is basically a lookup that I've created in here so I can add who the SREC is going to as part of this. So that's all this is. Maybe for contributors, I don't want them to have the ability to add anybody to this, but I want them to be able to do pretty much everything else in this app. So that would be kind of a way to differentiate this, is just by changing that. And you could do this for every single table. Now for this one, again, this is for my home use. And if you're building it for home use, you pretty much want everybody to have the ability to do everything in it for the most part. So for this one, I think that's sufficient just kind of to demonstrate the differences between them. So let's go ahead and save and close. And let's go ahead and find our utility again. And we're going to go ahead and make one more change to our admin here. Now, earlier we looked up team. So let's go ahead and find our team. Now, what do we want our admins to be able to do for the team? We definitely want them to be able to read, but we also want the ability to append and append to. So let's go ahead and update that. So we'll say at the organization level, and we'll also do that for organizational level here. Now, one of the things you might want to consider is, should the admins for this particular app also be able to create new teams? Perhaps a contributor is not going to be enough. Maybe you have to have a view only, and you have to have the question, does an admin have, and this is kind of where that question of admin versus developer, who can create new teams? Who can delete new teams. So you might have a developer account, or in this case, you've got a out-of-the-box system administrator account that you can leverage for this as well. If your system administrator, the person that's building the app, is going to control all of those actions, then really all you need to have the ability to do is the append and the append to, because your system administrator will create security groups based off of the need. But this is something you're going to have to look at your specific situation and decide who is able to do what. Now, maybe you've got a lot of different apps inside of your environment. Maybe your system administrator is the person controlling all of them, or maybe you want the individual roles, say in this case, our utility usage, basic user admin, to be able to do all the same things. If you give them the ability to create, to delete, to do all these different things, they'll be able to do this for every single app in that environment. So that's where you have to have a detailed look at what you're trying to do, what works best for your situation, and how you want to handle this. Now, in this particular case, I'm just going to give them the ability to append and append to. That'll give them the ability to add and remove users to the team. All right, let's go ahead and save and close this. So now we've created all of our security roles. Now in this case, we're just going to have those two. That's all we're going to have. Let's go back to our Office Solutions Pro environment. And now let's go ahead and take a look at our teams. Now I've done other videos on this particular topic as part of my channel. So you're going to see there's a couple other options between acquisitions and digital resource. We need to create a new team. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger here so we can see how this is set up here. Now you'll see that I did kind of the same thing. So we have an admin, a contributor. In this case, I demonstrated a view only option also. Now let's go ahead and create a team. And this is going to be our utility usage admin. Now you don't necessarily need to keep the basic user in this, but that, again, you could do that also. And for the business unit, let's just type in a 0 and it's going to automatically pop up our business administrator there. And let's go ahead and find myself. I'll be the administrator for this. Now, team type, this is going to be an owner. We want the person that's creating these records to own the records. So we're going to want to use owner for this. And let's go ahead and hit the next. You don't need to add the people at this stage. Let's go ahead and hit the next button here. Now, what we do need to do is assign our security role. Now, this is our utility usage security role for admin. So let's go ahead and drop down to the bottom here. And we're going to select our admin security role. Now, this is going to give every member of this team all of the permissions that we put inside of the security role. So let's go ahead and hit save and save again. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for contributors. So let's go ahead and create another one here. So this would be our utility usage contributor. And again, you could put a description in here as well. And I do recommend that you do that. For simplicity, I'm going to skip that step here. And again, I'll just be the administrator and it'll be an owner, and let's hit next. Again, I don't need to add any team members right now. And then let's go ahead and find our contributor security role and hit save. All right, now we've got both of our teams here. And if we go ahead and click on this, we'll see that we could manage our team members or manage our security roles. If we click manage our team members, we'll see that we have nobody added here, which is great. We're going to actually add myself into this when we get it put into the app. But we're set up as far as the admin center for now. So let's go back to our environment. All right, so in our environment, what we want to do is add the security roles, and we created these. So we can go to add security role here, and we're going to look for utility. And we're going to select both of these and click add. And then we should see security roles pop up here in just a second. There we go. Now we've got both of them. Let's go back to our app here, and let's go ahead and click. Actually, let's close this first, and then let's go over here and share. And we're going to select our app up here, and we're going to assign those security roles. So let's go back to the bottom here, and we'll see that we have it right here. So we'll select both of those and hit share. Now that's going to allow those security roles to be associated with this app. So not only are they going to have access to the tables, but they'll also have access to this app. All right, let's go ahead and close this. Now what we need to do is take a look at our actual team table. So this is how we're going to add people so they can have access to the app and to the Dataverse tables. So let's go look at our team table. Now we don't want to just automatically add it. We want to do a couple things inside the team table to get it ready to add to this solution. All right, so here is our team, and you can see I searched for team in our tables, and let's go ahead and open this up. Now what we want to do is we want to create a view and a form that's going to be unique to the solution that we're creating. So let's go ahead and take a look at our forms. Now I've already created a modified team form. So we're going to use this, and we're going to just change the name on it. So let's go ahead and edit this. Now let's go ahead and save a copy of this. And let's go ahead and call this utility usage users and hit save. All right, let's go ahead and back out of here. And let's go modify our views now. So let's take a look at our views. Now in here, you might be wondering, hey, you've already got it created. How did you create the one that you've already got there? And all I did was I looked through these to find which one I liked. And I don't remember which one specifically that I liked. It was probably just the all user access teams perhaps, but all you need is any view and you open it up and find which one you like, whether it's a form or a view. Once you find the one that you like, you just save that as what you're looking for. So in this case, instead of using the acquisition services and coordination team, let's just go ahead and take a look at all owner teams. It doesn't really matter. All right, now that we've got it open, let's go ahead and save as. And for this one, let's go ahead and change the name to utility usage groups and hit save. And let's go ahead and edit our filter here. So team type, we want to change this to team name. And instead of equals, we're going to say contains. And let's go ahead and type utility and hit OK. Now we're seeing only the two teams that we created, and we no longer need this. So let's just get rid of this. And let's go ahead and save and publish. And now that that's done, let's go back to our solution. Now what we want to do is add that team table. So let's go add existing, and it'll be an existing table, and we'll find our team. And here we go. So let's go ahead and select that and hit next. Now we don't want to include all metadata and objects, and we want to edit this. So let's go ahead and clear and edit our objects. Now we created a view for utility usage groups, and we created a form for utility usage users. Let's go ahead and add both of those. So we have one view and one form. Let's go ahead and hit add. And now we've got our team in here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this team and look at our forms. So we have this one form. Now one problem you'll run into with multiple apps using the same approach in the same environment, and you can control this the same way, is you can actually just set so certain security roles can see certain forms or certain views. I didn't do that in previous apps, so we're going to explain how this works. If we go to form settings here, what we're going to see here is specify security roles. For this particular form here, what we would want to do is specify which one. So we would come down to our utility usage basic user, and here, and again, you could have system customizer and system administrator in here as well. That way they can see everything. And we'll see up here, nothing else is selected. So the only security roles are going to see this form that we created is this one here. You would need to do the same thing in all of your other forms as well. And let's go ahead and take a look at our form order. Now, we want to make sure that for this particular app, the first one is our utility usage users. And after you've done that, what we want to do is take a look at your fallback forms. In this case, we don't want to have a backup. So let's just remove all of these. All right, let's go ahead and save and publish. All right, let's go back to team here and then check out our views. So we have one view, and let's go ahead and select this and then view the settings for this. And we want to specify security roles. So we're going to scroll down and find our two that we created here and make sure nothing else is selected. And then let's go ahead and save and publish. Now, similarly with other apps, what we're going to want to do is set it as the default view. All right, now let's go ahead and publish all of our customizations. So let's go over here, publish all customizations, and then we're going to go into the app and actually make some adjustments in our app as well. All right, publishing all customizations succeeded. So let's go take a look at our objects and open up our app here. Now what we're going to want to have is another place for this. And in this case, we're just going to go ahead and select this, and then we're going to create a new group. And we'll call this the security management. I think that'll work. And let's go ahead and add our table here. So we'll add a page, and it's going to be a Dataverse table. And we're going to find the team table, show in navigation. And there we go. Now we've got our teams in here. All right, there we can see that the utility usage is set as our default. And if we go ahead and click on admin, for example, we'll see that we've got our utility usage admin set. So everything appears to be working here. Let's go back to here quick. We want to make sure that the only people that can see this are admins. So let's go ahead and select our Teams view here. And let's go ahead and expand this. And we're going to go to our settings. And we want to do our advanced settings here. And we want to take a look at our table privileges. So let's go ahead and add a table privilege. And for the table, it's going to be our team. So we'll select that. And we want to make sure that we select whatever's going to differentiate the admin from everybody else. And as you recall, append and append to was the difference. So let's go ahead and remove all of these. And we're going to say that you have to append and append to in order to see this. So let's slow down a second and explain this. We created two roles. When we created the admin, we gave the ability to do append and append to. When we created contribute, we didn't do anything different to the team permissions. So they don't have the ability to append or append to. Whatever's going to differentiate whichever one you're trying to give access to, you want to select those areas. They'll actually not see the group or this if they can't see this one. So this won't be visible to them either. So that's how this works, is you select whatever's unique to the one that you want to be able to see this, and then they're going to be able to see it. So let's go ahead and apply, and we can go ahead and save and publish. Now let's go ahead and play the app and see how this works. All right, so in our app, let's go to Teams here, and we'll see that it loads up our options here, and then we've got our admin and our contributor. Let's go ahead and add an admin in here. And to add an admin, all we have to do is come over here, add existing user, and then I'm going to go ahead and search for myself, and then I'm going to hit add. And now I've got an admin entered in here. Now, if I had typed in a description, and I can do that now here as well, that description would be here. And now I don't necessarily need everybody to see this information here, so I could also hide all of this information. Again, team name is right up here anyway, so do I really need to have it? But I could further tailor what information is going to be visible here. And if we go back to our previous page here, and then we come take a look at this, we'll see that that has been changed. And again, maybe we don't even need business unit, so I could actually adjust that so this doesn't show there either. Again, a lot of customization you could do to this. Now, it's hard for me to demonstrate this. I don't have any other users in this, but essentially at this point, any users I add to the admin or to the contributor would get the associated permissions from either one of those. Now, I might be asking the question, what about security groups, and when would you use security groups? I'm not going to cover that as part of this specific video. We're already kind of long on this content as it is. But one thing to consider for security groups, which are part of Active Directory, Azure, Entra ID, that type of a security group, not a security role that's associated with Dataverse. When would you use a security group instead of just using a security role? And I'm not saying that you use one over another one. You could also use them together. But you would use a security group when you need to give permissions to assets that aren't inside of Dataverse. So it's not the model-driven app. It's not necessarily the tables. Great example is Power BI. A lot of times, whoever's got access to the app, you also want to give them the ability to access the Power BI. For example, you could put Power BI right into here. You want to make sure that when they click on it, they can see it. They don't get the permissions from your security role or from your team. You need to handle that a different way. And a great way to do that is through security groups. All right, that's pretty much it for today's content. Hopefully you found it helpful. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we're getting pretty close to it. So I'd really appreciate if you could go ahead and like and subscribe this content. It really does help the channel grow. Until next time.